Hello and welcome. Today marks a big day for Ethiopia. The country has finally inaugurated Africa's biggest dam, the Grand Renaissance Dam, or the GERD. Now, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed hailed the mega dam's inauguration. He called it a great achievement, not only for Ethiopia, but for all Africans.
Photos, videos, and words do not do the GERD justice. Only those who see it in person can understand its worth. I hope and pray that this generation comes to see the dam, and I invite all Black people to do the same. It alone demonstrates that we, as Black people, can achieve anything we plan. It is the biggest achievement in the history of Black people.
At the inaugural ceremony, the Prime Minister was joined by Kenyan President William Ruto and by the Djiboutian President Ismail Omar Guelleh. Now, the dam has been under construction since 2011. It has the potential to revolutionize Ethiopia's energy sector and to boost its economy. The multi-billion-dollar dam stands 145 meters high and stretches nearly 2 kilometers across the Blue Nile, which is a major tributary of the Nile River. The dam is designed to generate over 5,000 megawatts of electricity, which is more than double Ethiopia's current capacity. This is a big win for Ethiopia, where around 45% of the population lacks electricity, and frequent blackouts force businesses and households to rely on generators.
Previously, our daily lives relied on kerosene lamps and charcoal, which posed significant challenges. We would transport firewood to the market, selling it to buy kerosene and bread for our children. However, with the completion of the dam, our entire community is now happy.
I am excited with the progress of the dam, and we want to see more development. We also want more electricity to be part of our daily life, and we're all excited as members of the community.
The ambitious dam is fully self-financed by Ethiopia's government and its people. No foreign assistance was involved. The dam's reservoir has flooded an area larger than Greater London, and it is designed to provide a steady water supply for hydropower and irrigation downstream while limiting floods and droughts. For Ethiopia, GERD is a springboard for a better future, but its downstream neighbors see the dam as a looming disaster. The loudest opposition has come from Egypt, which depends on the Nile for over 90% of its water. The Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has repeatedly called the dam an existential threat. Egypt has also had Donald Trump's backing during his first term, and Trump even suggested that Cairo could end up blowing up the dam. Now, Sudan has also backed Egypt's concerns over reduced water flows because of the dam. The power tussle over access to Nile water has sharpened regional rivalries. Irked by GERD's construction, Egypt has strengthened ties with Ethiopia's rivals Eritrea and Somalia. And now that the dam has been inaugurated, regional tensions are likely to rise further. Now, on one hand, Ethiopia's ambitious dam has sparked a diplomatic crisis. But on the other, it has also filled the hearts of millions of Ethiopians with hope. Hope for a better future where electricity is no longer a distant dream. And for more on this, we have with us Zemedine Negatu, a geopolitical commentator who is joining us live from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Welcome to Firstpost.
Thank you for having me, Alyson, again.
Now, how does the official launch of Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam, despite the backlash from Egypt and Sudan, alter the balance of power and regional diplomacy in the Horn of Africa region?
Right. Very, very good question. Actually, you covered in your introduction, you covered a lot of the good points, valid points, but I want to add to that. As you just asked me, how does it rearrange, rejig the geopolitical situation in the Eastern and Horn and North Africa? From my perspective, I mean, Ethiopia has, in a very clear way, demonstrated to the world, not just the neighborhood, but to the world, that it is in a position, it has the capacity to deliver on a very, very large, very complex infrastructure project, which happens to be a dam. So that's also a testament. Again, when we talk about rearranging, we need to speak on real terms. So Ethiopia has clearly demonstrated it can build a $5 billion dam on its own without external financing, despite enormous, enormous challenges over the last 14 years, pressure externally, all the way from the likes of the World Bank refusing to financing, and as you indicated, some regional countries like Egypt, and to a lesser extent, Sudan resisting it. So it's a clear demonstration that now Ethiopia has always been a power to be reckoned with in the past, but for a while it had lost its way. But as I tweeted today, it has regaining its foot, and it's actually positioning itself amongst the greatest nations, not just in Africa, but in the world through its action. So it definitely rearranged it. That means now that the neighborhoods, especially the Egyptians, have to deal with Ethiopia on an equal footing, because Ethiopia now holds all the cards when it comes to power generation, economic growth, as you know, as one of the fastest growing economies, not only in Africa, but in the world. But the addition of the GERD, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, to the mix will accelerate Ethiopia's growth. And also, as you know, economic power also determines geopolitical positioning. And I think in multiple fronts, Ethiopia is demonstrating that it is now ascended.
Now, on that, with Ethiopia framing the GERD as a cornerstone for economic development and energy security, as you've mentioned, while Egypt views it as an existential threat. Now, how can these conflicting national interests be reconciled? And what role could international mediation realistically play?
Right. Listen, the narrative needs to be fixed for a very simple reason. This is not an irrigation dam. This is a power generation dam. Anyone who has basic elementary engineering science education can explain that water comes in, turns the turbines, it flows out again. And I think that's why I'm saying the narrative in other parts outside of Ethiopia needs to be told correctly, that this is not going to harm Egypt, it's not going to harm Sudan. In fact, if anything, the prosperity, the livelihoods of millions of Africans beyond Ethiopia would be improved by the fact that this massive dam is going to be generating power. So I think the misunderstanding, whether intentional in some quarters or very naive way, not understanding, should be corrected to say Egypt will not be harmed because this is not an irrigation dam, period. And I think that's my main message here. Right. But also importantly, look at it. Millions of Ethiopians have been living in darkness. Okay? Is that fair? When Ethiopia has all this resource, as is demonstrated today through the inauguration of the dam, is it fair for a country of 130 million people? By the way, there are more Ethiopians than Egyptians. It's the second most populous country. So people need to ask basic questions. Why should Ethiopians be deprived of utilizing, leveraging the power, the wealth that has been given to them by God, now through engineering marvel, have converted it into power? That's what I think others, the narrative needs to be corrected. That's my message here.
Sure. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much for bringing us all the latest and being with us on Firstpost Africa.
Thank you for having me.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka kaljo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Skali radikali.
Japanese,
$4 trilhões.
Portuguese,
Por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.